For our readers and listeners who don't know anything about The Chosen or who know very little about The Chosen, can you give me a brief explanation of what The Chosen is?
Sure. Yes, it's a multi-season TV series about Jesus and those who followed him, and we really get to learn about him through their eyes. And it is done in a really sort of fresh and new way, where the characters that have been written are relatable and very human, and we can see ourselves in them as audience members. And it's just, I think, a really well produced TV show that if you are a believer or a non-believer, you can get so much out of.
Absolutely. So, what do you hope viewers take away from season 3?
Season 3 is, things get so intense. The ministry is growing, and that makes everything a little bit more dangerous. The stakes are higher, and Jesus's followers are sort of challenged with new things, and they're kind of being forced to like talk the walk and really live what Jesus was teaching, and not just listen to it or like be moved by it, but they really have to live it, of what it means to actually live as a Christian. And it's challenging. Like life is still challenging, and there's still low points that people go through, and tragedies and anxieties, and through it all, I think the message of it is that you can still rest in Jesus, and there is still peace in him. And I think some of my favorite parts of the Gospels are portrayed in this season. So I cannot wait to be able to actually watch them enacted.
For your character in particular, of course, you play Mary Magdalene. I'm not sure how much you can go into it or delve into it, but for maybe as much as you can, what can you tell me about Mary Magdalene's journey in this upcoming season?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, she's gone through the gamut with season 1 and season 2. She went through such an emotional roller coaster of being possessed, being healed, being redeemed, and then backsliding and being triggered and being forgiven again. And she's gone through so much. This season, she gets to sort of chill out a little bit. She's staying sort of back at home with the other women, and they're kind of keeping things moving. They're focused on financing the ministry. They've been given a gift, and they're trying to figure out how to multiply it. And she's kind of evening out emotionally. She's starting to feel like she really belongs, and she really has a purpose here in the group, in the ministry. And there are moments where she still has a little shame or doubt about whether or not she's worthy of being there. And there's a really beautiful scene that she has with Tamar, who's played by Amber Shayna Williams, where there's a wonderful long conversation and confrontation of misunderstandings they've been having. And they kind of work out and work through these misunderstandings, and really get vulnerable with each other about behaviors and Tamar's past. And Tamar really helps her really let go of her shame. She's like, Jesus has forgiven you. Now you essentially need to forgive yourself. And after that moment, there's this new confidence. There's this new growth in her that I think it's lovely to see how we can help each other grow. And she's able to start kind of giving advice to those who are needing it. And she can kind of, extend and reach out to people in ways that she really hasn't before. I think there's less focus on her and her past and pain, and more focus on the people around her and helping them.
Okay. So her first 2 seasons, her arcs, I guess, were a little more roller coaster-esque, where
Yes.
it levels out, it seems, a little in season 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Thank goodness.
right. So, how did you land the role of Mary Magdalene in this series, and what were you doing prior to being cast in the show?
I was focused on mostly commercial acting in Austin. And I was booking, but it wasn't really enough to live in my apartment. Austin was like growing and getting so expensive, and I was told that I booked a commercial, and then my agent told me, sorry, wrong Liz. And it was this sort of like last straw where I'm like, I don't think I should be doing this anymore. Like that was a sign to me. I'm like, I need to really let go of, because my passion was in acting like real characters and on TV or in theater. And I had just been focused so much on selling, things on commercials. And I thought, this isn't it. I got to rethink what I'm doing, because this is not creatively fulfilling. And also I was in a real state of depression. I was broke. I was like barely making ends meet. And I finally got to a point where I really couldn't. And so my mom let me move in with her and sort of figure out what I was going to do next. And that's where I was at. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I just knew that it couldn't be what I was doing. And I told my agent to stop submitting me. And he submitted me to this anyway. Thank God. And I read the character, and I read her scenes, and I connected to her in a very uncanny way, and felt like it was written for me and a gift to me to start anew. And that's exactly what it was. It was,
and it was a blessing and a miracle all in one.
It truly was. I was not expecting this at all, and it just keeps, surprising me, the impact it's having on people and how that's impacting me. And it's just this show is a gift in so many ways.
Absolutely. So for you personally, how has it been, or what has it been like playing Mary Magdalene?
It's been like she's my favorite character I've ever played. Such a dream role, but also it feels like a role model to me, kind of like a guide for me. And especially the way she's been written too. I find these parallels with her that like, I feel like there are these lessons that I'm learning along this path along the way, that are through her and from her. And it's all sort of pointing towards, the sort of joy and peace that comes with following Jesus. And it's so simple. It really is. It's letting go of your past. It's letting go of pain and anxiety and like letting joy and peace into your heart. And my whole life has transformed over these years. And I think it's directly related to being able to portray this character.
Awesome. So obviously there's a lot of information or research out there about who Mary Magdalene was from a historical and biblical perspective. And so I've had the opportunity to interview Kirk Waller and the guy who plays Quintus, Brandon Potter.
Yes, Brandon.
And so they have a different challenge than what you had, in the fact that they're playing characters that were created for the chosen, whereas
right.
you're playing a character that there's a lot of stuff out there about there. So my question for you is, how much creative license were you given in being able to adapt the person Mary Magdalene to what you wanted to portray her as?
I mean, it really starts with the writing. The writers know the Gospels so well, and really rooted her and based her her storyline on what is in the Gospels. So they just sort of fleshed it out and made it kind of come to life and in a plausible way. So in all of these other sort of media projects or films, or I think there's so much speculation about who she was, if she was a prostitute, if she was Jesus's wife, and like people have made up stories about her. And I think The Chosen has sort of like just pushed past all of that and really focused on who she was as written in the Gospels. And so we're focusing on her having been possessed, Jesus having exorcised demons from her helping finance the ministry, And of course, we know, the rest of it, of which we haven't gotten to in the series yet. But they focus on what's plausible, and what type of character, what type of personality, what type of psychology and emotions come with those scenarios. And they do, I think, a beautiful job in honoring her and her history, in a really respectful and loving way.
Awesome. So, what scene or storyline that pertains to Mary Magdalene from the upcoming season are you most excited about seeing how the people respond to or react to?
There is a beautiful scene between Mary and Tamar, who's played by Amber Shano Williams. They've been having these sort of misunderstandings that's turning into sort of tension or passive aggression, and it's all miscommunication, and it builds to a point of confrontation where they're like, what's going on? Something's going on. And they're able to really share and be really vulnerable with each other. And Tamar shares more about her past, where she came from, her own pain. And she reminds Mary that Jesus forgave her, and any sort of shame that she's still kind of holding on to, or doubt that she belongs in this group, she really has to let go of. She's like, Jesus forgave you. You've essentially got to forgive yourself. And it's this really beautiful moment between them, where they are finally really vulnerable with each other, and then can help each other grow and support each other, and then of course come up with better solutions to the problems that they were having, and that helps finance the ministry. So it's like it really shows how being open and communicative and loving and compassionate to each other can help things in bigger ways.